Instagram quotes that are falsely attributed.
Well, the evidence is clear that media is biased. Very well documented research shows that the editorial control centers of today's media are leftists.
People just don't believe what they hear on the media or watch on the media anymore because it's just not true.
Media bias is everywhere. The liberal platforms far outnumber the conservative platforms. And we just simply have to recognize that we're always going to be in a battle for the minds of men.
The mainstream media has notoriously leaned to the left for years. But recently, many have noted that the amount of bias and hypocrisy displayed by media members has been egregious.
Very rarely these days do you see a reporter actually report the news and simply give information. Now it's all tied up with left-wing commentary, and it's so skewed that you can't even tell the difference anymore between opinion and reporting.
They ignore facts that don't fit their narrative, and they play up facts that do fit their narrative. They don't even have a pretense of objectivity anymore. They've become the PR wing of the progressive left, and they've destroyed their credibility.
Bill Martinez is a conservative radio host.
They've abandoned their true reason to exist, and that is to document history, to be documentarians of what is going on in our culture. I dare say that several decades from now, when people look back on the reporting of the mainstream media, they're going to get a very prejudiced viewpoint of what was happening in our culture, and a lot of stories are going to be left untold.
Every communications platform is going to be a contested field all the time. It doesn't matter what technology you're using, whether it's the pen and ink or the printing press or the internet, no matter what it is. Every means of communication is going to be used to communicate truth and to communicate falsehood. Those two are always going to be in contest with each other.
Take the case of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. While undergoing his confirmation to the Supreme Court, he was accused of sexual assault. How did the media cover this story?
A woman says the president's U.S. Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, assaulted her when she and Kavanaugh were both in high school.
A high-stakes he said, she said that could determine the next justice of the Supreme Court.
I think this disinformation campaign against Justice Brett Kavanaugh certainly was one of the uglier moments I've seen in Washington, D.C. in trying to besmirch a good man's name. Look, there was a lot of bad reporting on this issue.
And I think Brett Kavanaugh, what happened to him was a travesty. I mean, they absolutely smeared not only him, but his family. They got dragged through the mud for days. And all it took was one woman making unsubstantiated claims against him, claims that couldn't be proven, claims that her story had fallen apart. The witnesses that she claimed to have been at this party didn't even remember being there. Literally all of the details of Christine Blasey Ford's story was completely falling apart. But you saw how the left and the media ran with it like it was the gospel.
The Me Too movement is all about justice. Women shouldn't be sexually abused, or raped, or put upon by men, but you can go overboard. Now you're guilty until proven innocent.
But when Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault in March of 2020, the media all but excused him.
Joe Biden today emphatically denying he sexually assaulted a former Senate aide 27 years ago.
You fast forward now to a couple years later when Joe Biden is running for president, and a woman comes out against Joe Biden, who's a man who's known for being a little handsy. He's known for touching people when they don't want to be touched. He's had to apologize for this in the past. And now you have a woman, Tara Reade, coming forward with very substantiated claims. When you have her story come out, the media not only buries it, they didn't talk about it for days. In the first few interviews that Joe Biden did, they didn't even ask him about it. There was no mention of it whatsoever. If you look back at headlines reporting that story, they completely smeared Tara Reade. They immediately began casting doubt on whether or not she was telling the truth. So I think that the bias there couldn't be more obvious depending on who is being accused.
There's a lot of excitement around the idea that women will be heard and be listened to. There is also due process. and the fact that Joe Biden is Joe Biden.
And the hypocrisy doesn't stop there. Recently, NFL quarterback Drew Brees came under fire for his comments regarding the American flag.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country.
Drew Brees, if he comes out and says, look, I'm going to stand for the flag. He didn't come out and berate those who take a knee. He didn't come out and insult people who maybe take a different tack. He simply said, look, I'm going to stand for the flag. And I mean, ABC and NBC spent 2 days on their nightly news coverage talking about how that was so controversial, insinuating that that was giving a nod to racism. He was absolutely dragged through the mud, forced to apologize.
Brees was ridiculed as a racist and forced to apologize multiple times. But when NFL star DeSean Jackson posted a supposed Hitler quote, the media seemingly forgave him immediately.
The Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver in recent days posted on Instagram quotes that are falsely attributed to Adolf Hitler.
You have DeSean Jackson come out posting blatantly anti-Semitic quotes on Twitter, quoting Louis Farrakhan, quoting Hitler. ABC and NBC, though, didn't even mention it after it happened. CBS did a whole segment about the impact that hail has on an airplane, but they didn't talk about it. Because, again, you have somebody who is on the left, you have somebody who is a member of a certain racial minority, and if you're a part of an aggrieved class, someone that the left has decided, has been marginalized, well, then you're given a pass to pretty much say whatever you want.
I truly don't think DeSean meant any sort of hate or anything. I think it came way more from a place of ignorance, and that's something that we're seeing.
Do the mainstream media only report on stories that fit their narrative? Take a look at the coverage of the Black Lives Matter protests.
We have an insurrection going in this country by criminals who beat up old ladies, kill people, set fire to buildings, and there's no cops around because the Democrat Party is in full-throated support of the vandals and the criminals.
You have businesses being looted and burned and vandalized. You have cars being smashed, and people are literally being ripped out of their vehicles and beaten senseless in the streets by Black Lives Matter, by Antifa. But the media is not going to show you that, right? They're going to say that, oh, these protests are mostly peaceful.
The fact of the matter is the mainstream media has been bought and sold, and they're 100% in with the radical arm of Black Lives Matter, these democratic socialists, and this is where America is kind of asleep at the wheel.
The mainstream media seemingly calls good evil and evil good. They justify violence. They say that America is systematically racist. Is the media being used as a weapon to spew out propaganda?
We've got to understand we're dealing with this antichrist spirit. That's kind of strong language. But I do believe it is an antichrist, ungodly spirit that is trying to produce anarchy and violence. It's the same spirit, if I can be so bold as to say this, that motivated the KKK and other people, just hatred.
There really is a war on truth. This has been going on for a long time. Now we're at a point where, Christian thought is canceled. I call it the spirit of invalidation that has been running rampant for decades.
Well, and you have Christians being persecuted all around the world, and the media ignores it.
A consistently Christian worldview is an immediate threat to the left's agenda, which is why you have leftists throughout history who have said those exact words. Karl Marx himself identified Christianity as one of the chief impediments to the establishment of globalized workers of the world uniting. Christianity has been consistently identified as one of those threats.
My call to the church is, look, we've got to stand up. I mean, this is only the second nation that God has basically put his seal of approval on. Because of the Pilgrims, they made a covenant with God, and that's what we've been living on. And as Ronald Reagan said, a nation that fails to realize that it is a nation under God will be a nation gone under. And we're pretty close to that right now.
We have a heart problem, and there's only one who's ever fixed a heart problem, and that's Jesus Christ. That is how we change hearts. If you change hearts, you change politics. If you change hearts, that's how you change society.